Hello again, everybody. It's Rob, it's Mike. Raving Eagle Media presents Nostalgia, News, and Nonsense. And in this episode, we are continuing on with our Star Trek, and we're going to cover Deep Space Nine. I have to say, though, sometimes I agree or disagree with some of the things done in Deep Space Nine. I enjoy it because it broke away from some of the things that, bless him for his creation and his insight and everything, but it broke away from some of the things that Gene did. Because, the whole Dominion War, the Marines, though I think they should have been handled a little differently. Not going to go there. It got into things that, this is what happens when you come together sometimes with two huge interstellar empires and they both believe they are right. In the case of the Dominion, it really was the Federation that was right.
Well, that's always a matter of opinion, because people, even today in our world, even though we're Americans, we live in the United States, Western Europeans, we kind of have the same concept of democracy is the way to go. Doesn't mean we're right. We think we're right. Doesn't mean a really good dictator that's a nice guy, might not be able to run his country effectively and take care of his people. I'm not saying it's ever happened, and it hasn't. But that doesn't mean it can't. Democracy's not perfect either, because it's more or less, it can be mob rule if you're not careful. So, I do like the concept of the symmetry of, okay, the Dominion's bad guys, but from their point of view, we're bad guys because we're against peace, order, and order in their way. Order by the sword, kind of the Caesar kind of way. You mess with us, we'll wipe you off the world, and we have direct control of everything, and this is the way it is through a forced economy method, more or less. Whereas the Federation's more or less, I would say, or would you say they're direct socialist / communist, more or less? I mean,
yeah,
because the government controls everything and divvies it out to a degree.
Yeah, and there's no.
But yet you have your freedom. It's a little different.
And there's no solid money, though. In DS9, they bring it about that Starfleet personnel are paid because of being outside of Federation space or at the fringes of it, where money is still used, and you have
by the Frankie races,
and the gold press latinum and everything. But kind of backing off from the Dominion War, one of the reasons DS9 was beautiful is for a little while it got you off the ship, and it was this stopping point because of how many, like Mike said before, how many different TNG characters came through.
I actually said that in the last video, so but if you've watched it, you watched them both anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing about DS9, I had a lot of things. DS9 is my favorite of the bunch. For number one, because Sisko is awesome. Sisko is an amazing person in charge. But because of the very first episode, you've seen that push between him and Picard, like, you're in charge, and he's like, I'm retiring. I've had a miserable ass life. I'm miserable. And you see that evolution from him losing his wife, and I can understand that, married and all that crazy stuff. Losing your wife, and then going through that 7 years of, you're the spiritual leader of our people, and you're this, that, and the other, and it's not gonna be perfectly right. I haven't watched it in a while, but you go from that evolution of him being miserable and it's being forced upon him to be the emissary, finds the orbs, that kind of stuff, moves forward, and at the beginning of the Dominion War, you see that change in him, that he's like, maybe this is, once he met the prophets in the wormhole, and kind of changed his mentality on the thing, and he fell in love with Bajor the planet, and then his girl, I can't remember her name. So I think he really evolved as a character, and you watch that through 7 years with Jake and him, and I think they did such a good job with that character. As long as they didn't screw up the rest of the series, which they didn't, I was going to be perfectly happy the way the series ran, because he's such a strong character as far as the Star Trek character goes. Even comparing to Picard in The Next Generation, it's hard to argue one's better than the other. Deep Space Nine I give the number one slot to, and I don't usually do this. You ask him, I don't like doing that. But I like it better. Not to say it's better, but in my world I like it more because it is. It's off the ship. It's strong political ties. It's like, okay, we're in a universe where we've really got away from war, away from this kind of thing. We're agreeing with each other. The Federation encompasses 40-50% of our chunk of the galaxy. And you got the Klingons, Romulans, we're tolerating each other. You just stay over there, we'll stay over here, and we'll call it a win. Even the Klingons really at the end of DS9 kind of come into the fold. Romulans not so much, but they get smashed anyway. But you really see some turmoil in a perfect universe, and the Federation has to evolve or die. you got to learn how to fight, and you got to get it. You know, not everybody's going to agree with you, so you got to push back. Even the episode where this is one of the episodes that really pushes and defines that concept is the one where Cisco has to pretty much con the Romulans by cheating and tricking them into joining against the Dominion War.
One of my favorite, and possibly one of the best scenes. You realize he's doing a monologue through the entire thing pretty much. He's making a personal log, and then he turns around, computer, dude, delete the whole damn thing.
Yeah, and I mean, he feels, I'm sure because of his morals and his concepts, he's like, okay, I tricked them, I kill this guy, I do this, or we lose. I mean, we lose everything. Because the Federation is just out of ump. They cannot do it anymore.
Like he stressed through the entire episode, if the Romulans signed the non-aggression pact with the Dominion during the Dominion War, they are all but screwed. Because even with the Klingons coming in, they would not have the firepower and the manpower to go against the Dominion. I mean, the Dominion uses the cloned soldiers. They just produce them in mass. And the Klingons and the Federation cannot produce enough troops, enough ships, enough personnel to combat that.
Well, and the big thing is in this, you see the Federation turn from, just being exploratory and more or less, they have the weapons and the toys when they need it, but due to the Borg aggression, they've started moving more towards weapons and war. And you've seen that towards the end of Next Generation when they started moving towards, okay, we need ships that pack more of a punch. Exploring's great, but reality sets in that, some of these people don't like us, whether we like it or not, whether we try to play nice or not. They're not going to play nice with us. In DS9, you see that even pushed further in the Dominion War once, Cisco's like, ah, crap, here comes, a bazillion ships through the wormhole and we're about to get slaughtered. So you see the Federation trying to haul butt to try to catch up and get built up to a military power, which they got the resources, they got the man, and to a degree they have the manpower, but they just don't have the time to catch up with the Dominion, having an entire half of the galaxy, building everything they need and just sending it out. And you see that problem resolved to a degree, but even with Cardassian territory to expand and use resources, they still almost win by the end.
Yeah. I mean, you should really check it out, the entire arc, because even before the Dominion War, like Mike said, they showed the fact that, hey, there are races out there that are not friends of the Federation, they're not enemies, but,
we're in their way.
Yeah. And then you found just a lot more races that were out of the edge of the Federation, and you had all these characters, Cisco, Miles, they were Federation, they were Starfleet, Worf when he joined, but they're out at the edge of space. I mean, remember, the station is a Bajoran station. Bajor is an independent planet. So it was a whole new thing for Star Trek. It wasn't, oh, we're in the safety of the Federation and just something happens. No, we're on the edge, and everything could go completely wrong in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's done well. I enjoyed the whole series. The beginning it takes a little time to get used to it in the beginning. The first few episodes are great. Then it drags a little bit because you got character building and stuff like that going on. Just like any new series, if it survives a year or two, it's going to run for a while, which it did. But I really enjoyed DS9. I think it was done well. I think it was fun. I think it was just a great series. It's definitely in the top 10 of sci-fi series.
Yeah, definitely. And even if for some reason, if you don't like it, if you've watched Next Generation and you like Q, you have to watch the episodes with Q, especially where he first meets Cisco, and Cisco punches him, and he's like, "You punched me. Picard never punched me."
That's good stuff right there.
I'm not Picard. Oh, you're going to be so much more fun.
Yeah, he's got that temper. Cisco really doesn't tone that down till later either. He does get it under control because at the beginning he's very just mad because of Wolf 359 and what he lost there, and he just had a hard time dealing with that for the first couple of years actually of the series. I mean, he's got a kid, he's alone, he really feels like an outsider, and that improves as it goes on, and you see that evolution of the character, and that's what makes DS9 so strong, is you had him do such a good job.
He was the one who evolved the most, but DS9 was one of those that I believe there wasn't a single core character that you didn't, learn about them and why they, not only culturally, but just individually think and act the way they do, but also that they didn't grow a little bit. I mean...
Or a lot.
Yeah. I mean, prime example is you look at, the relationship between Quark and Odo. and how even, Quark trying to be, oh, I'm just like all of my people, I'm a money-grubbing bastard. But Odo points out that during the occupation, he not only sold cheaply, but sometimes smuggled and gave the Bajoran slaves, not just the resistance, but the slave workers, food and blankets and stuff. And it was like, that was something you would never have thought of Ferengi doing, and he even tries to play it off. He doesn't want to admit he did it, but
yeah,
it's
he's
there.
not a nice guy. He doesn't want to admit it, and it's probably a good thing anyway. But for a Ferengi to say, "Oh, I don't know what you're smoking. Put that crack pipe out." But yeah, the evolution of Odo was good. I think the evolution of Worf was amazing. Klingons, because of the way they are, you got to see a little. You got to see a lot. I mean, that battle between him and Gowron towards the end of, was that season 7? It was during the Dominion War somewhere. I think it was season 7 when him and Gowron go at it, even though he helped put Gowron in charge. So, I mean, and Martok's an awesome character. He's only in the back half of the season. Only probably maybe the last season and a half.
They do a good job with allowing him to catch up and still, you feel like you've been with him a while.
Yeah, because of the integration of the Klingons into the series really deeply. No longer are the Klingons an outskirt race. They're now part of not the Federation, but by the end of DS9, they're now more or less allies. And you never expected that. I think they were trying to do some symmetry between Russia and the U.S., but that's a whole other fight for another day, which that blew up in our face anyway. But anyway, that's my opinion in Deep Space Nine. Personally, it's one of my favorite series of all time, of everything. I'm a sci-fi buff anyway. I like sci-fi a little better in most cases, but DS9 and Next Generation are kind of like beer and chips. I love them both.
Yeah, I agree with Mike on that one. It's a beer and chips kind of situation. They go hand in hand, and they really, one set up the other, and then the other one ran with it in its own building direction. It actually built upon it and made it that much better. So, I think that's all we have time for now.
As always, comments, let us know. We're great, we're horrible, why we're great and we're horrible. Because just because he's got a ponytail and he looks kind of cute doesn't mean he's a bad guy, okay? I might be a pudgy old dude, but gotta keep it PG because we promised we would. Mr. I can't swear enough. But anyway, let us know what we're good about, what us know what we're bad about. If you want us to review any series we've watched most everything sci-fi known to man.
Yeah, covered quite a bit of random stuff.
We will think about reviewing Firefly. I know everybody in the dog loves it. I know why you love it. It's one season, guys. I'm sorry. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not even going there.
Hasta la pasta. See you on the wonderful Bayham destruction.